Hello there, welcome back to The Closet Historian and back to my sewing room once again, as always. Today we are going to be talking about sewing tools, the things I use down here in my sewing room all the time, the things that people are constantly asking me questions about, like where I got my giant paper shears, or why I'm using one tool instead of another one, or what I use to do this, that, and that. Do I think this is necessary? All those different things. So I'm going to go over in detail today all the stuff I use, all the tools and rulers, all the stuff that I use to make clothes down here. I'm going to go over in detail, and if you have any additional questions after that, do leave them for me in the comments below. I will try and link to as many of these items as I can find online available in the description as well. So if you see something that you are interested in, probably going to be linked in the description. Though I should note in saying that, of course, none of this is sponsored. We're not big enough to have sponsors here on this channel, no worries. I sort of have different stations in my sewing room, so we're going to begin over here in the kind of patterning and cutting zone, over here on the blue patterning table of doom, as I always call it. And of course, my table itself is a tool that I use, so a large table is something very useful to have. And something you see me use quite often here on the blue table is my big roll of patterning paper. Yes, this does come on a roll. This is very wide alphanumeric paper. I get mine from a company called Atlas Levy, and it will be linked in the description below. It's usually linked in my description because I do get questions about this paper all of the time. It's nice and wide. Of course, you can use wrapping paper or butcher paper or any paper you have lying around, but I just like using alphanumeric paper. I did, of course, just get used to using it while I was in fashion school, so I still do. Something else I've been using since my fashion school days and have been getting a lot of questions about recently are my big, huge paper shears here. These are just giant paper scissors, kind of, with shorter blades, which makes getting around little curves quite easy. They are very heavy duty. Again, could be used in, in case of apocalypse as a zombie destroying weapon, which is nice to have around, of course. And mine are PGM, like the dress form company, but you can also pick up shears like these from Atlas Levy again, so I will again link that in the description below. Then I have my main set of fabric shears here, or fabric scissors. Scissors I use to cut out everything, or have cut out everything with since, again, fashion school. These again came with my freshman year design kit. I'm not sure exactly what brand they are, and they do need to be sharpened again, but I don't have a scissor sharpener right now. But of course the main distinction here is to have a separate set of scissors for paper and for fabric. You want to keep your fabric scissors for fabric only. It's one of the only, golden rules of sewing that I actually understand and appreciate. Then of course here over on my patterning table I use a lot of Scotch tape to tape my patterns together. You can see this one I had with me at school because again it does have my initials on the back, my name on there, and a little foam whale. I'm not sure where he came from or how it ended up on this tape dispenser, but it's been there for most of its life. And of course important for pattern drafting and drawing of any kind really are rulers, and here are the three I use the most. This first one here, this little clear French curve ruler, I use anytime I need a curve. A French curve is very useful to have around. Again, can be found online and from most fabric shops or like drawing sections of craft stores, things like that. Then I do have this large metal hip curve ruler, which again came with my design kit my freshman year of school. I don't know if I would have bought one of these if it wasn't like part of a kit, just because really shallow, large curves like this are pretty easy to sketch in yourself, but it is nice and handy to have one of these around as well. And then of course my most used workhorse of a ruler, as you can see it has paint on it right now, is this clear and pink or red lined 2-inch wide, 18-inch long ruler. I use this all the dang time. If you see me do any pattern drafting, you'll see me use this ruler. In fact, I do have two of them down here. I have one that I keep on my drafting table, and then I keep another one over in like the ironing station next to my ironing board here in my sewing room as well. So you'll see that later. I do have two of these rulers around. I like using them so much. I just keep both of them out and about. I do happen to know that this style of ruler does come in centimeter as well, because I had one when I was studying, I think in France, where I had that, the metric version of this. So I know that it does come in metric as well for those of you who work in metric, because I know not everyone works in imperial like I do. Of course, while you may see me using pen and marker here often to draft patterns so that you can all see what I'm doing when I'm demonstrating, I do use pencils to draft my patterns when I'm not doing it for camera, or even sometimes when I am doing it for camera and I forget that I need to be using marker. I like having mechanical pencils and regular pencils around, and of course a large eraser for when the need to erase arises. I like mechanical pencils for their precision, of course, but I do like having regular pencils around to sketch in things in a more loose way, again, like for big curves and things like that. So I have pencils of many varieties around over here on the drafting table. The next pattern drafting tool that I've had since my school days is this little wood and metal awl. Awls can be used to poke holes through leather or fabric or whatever you may need them to need a hole to be in, but I use them mostly to poke holes in paper for my dart points so that I can transfer my darts through my pattern pieces onto the fabric and trace those lines through, or whatever markings I need through my patterns. It is a bit of a dangerous tool though, so do keep that safe. Then I do have a handy dandy seam ripper over here, just in case I'm ever taking apart clothes to like make a pattern from them. This is a super rare activity for me, but it's still nice to have a few of these hanging around the sewing room, so I have one over here on the patterning table as well. Then I have a handful of tailor's chalk here. These are just little triangles of I'm sure it's probably a water-soluble chalk of some kind. I don't wash things that I use tailor's chalk on often enough to have noticed if it disappears, but I assume it does, hence why it's, special. However, these are what I use most of the time to mark things. These are Prismacolor colored pencils, just the regular old Prismacolor pencils. I use these all the time to mark my patterns, marking darts mostly. Most people prefer, again, tailor's chalk, chalk pencils specifically made for this, invisible ink or erasable ink, pens, things like that. I just use colored pencil because, as I always say, no one's going to be examining the inside of my garments except for me. And therefore, if there's colored pencil on the inside, I certainly don't care. And so I just use these because I find them easy to use and it works well in my practice, my sewing practice as it were. So that's all the tools I keep over here on the end of this table. The last thing you'll see in the corner here, this is actually an eyelet or like a grommet press for making corsets or anything that needs grommets. But the reason I bought it was for putting grommets in the back of corsets. Maybe one day we'll get to use that here on the channel sometime, if that's something you would like to see from me, that is. And of course, on the bulletin board next to me, I do have card versions of my most used patterns. So you can see my all-in-one sleeve kimono style bodice block up here, my regular bodice block, my pencil skirt block. All my block patterns get pinned up on this because I use them the most often, of course. Over here in these pink boxes where I keep all my patterns, there's technically another tool that I use, and that is clear gallon-sized Ziploc bags. I use these and label them with Sharpie to organize my patterns. Basically, when I'm done using a pattern, I will fold it up, stick it in a clear Ziploc bag, and then label it on the outside, and then stick it in these boxes so that, of course, I don't have to draft a new pattern every time I want to make something else. I, in fact, reuse a lot of my patterns. You just see me drafting new things all the time here on the channel because I want to demonstrate techniques for all of you, but normally I just reuse my patterns over and over again. And then finally, at the end of the blue patterning table of doom, I have this white table from IKEA, and this is where my machines live, including this serger. This is a Brother little Lock 1034D or whatever it is. This machine, as I always say, I commandeered from my mother. This was hers. She bought it for some specific projects she was working on, and then she kind of abandoned it, and I thought, I will take that, thanks. And now I use it to bind the edges of my, the raw edges before I sew things. I don't often use it to actually put two pieces together. Very, very rarely. I'm usually just using this to bind the raw edges of my pieces when they're cut. As for sewing machines, currently I'm switching back and forth between this new Bernat B35 machine. We're still not getting along perfectly, but that's because I haven't spent much time with it, because I have been rather devoted to the other machine here in my life that we've seen me using a lot more recently. But I do have this more modern machine here if I ever randomly need a fancy stitch or just need a more modern machine. But mostly I've been using this Singer 99K that we've seen me talk about here on the channel in some recent videos. This machine is from 1955. It is motorized or electrified with a foot pedal and all that jazz, and it works just beautifully for a machine of its age, certainly. As for other things I keep on this little table right next to me at the machine while I'm sewing, I do have a pair of little scissors here. I just picked these ones up recently from a stationery shop on Etsy. They're not even like specifically embroidery scissors, but I just wanted a pretty pair to keep here next to me for snipping threads as I go, or clipping corners or whatever I need to do. Then of course I have a tomato here with some additional needles for the machine. I don't know where the little pepper went, but I lost it at some point. Then of course I have a jar full of bobbins, both the plastic ones for that Bernat 35 and these metal bobbins for the Singer 99K. Then somewhat randomly, I do have a paintbrush here covered in lint, and this is because I use this to help me clean my machine, so get into little nooks and crannies in the machine to clean out lint when I'm going in there. And speaking of maintenance, I also have this little vial of sewing machine oil that I keep here next to the machine so that I can oil them as needed, as I hopefully remember to do most of the time, because I do use my machines so often they need to be oiled quite frequently. And in the spirit of machine maintenance, I do have a couple of small little sewing machine screwdrivers here for taking plates off and getting into different places wherever I may need to go while doing some maintenance on my machines. And then I do have more sewing machine needles here in case I ever do randomly hit one of those pins that I naughtily sew over, so I can replace with a new needle. I have quite a few of these in stock just sitting here. Now, before we jump over to the next station, of course, here on my wall, I do have two racks of thread, thread being a tool I use quite often here in the sewing room. I'm not very picky about thread, however. I just use Coats & Clark all-purpose dual-duty polyester thread for most of my sewing life here, but I have been switching over to Gutermann thread just because I'm shopping with Mood Fabrics online more and more and not shopping at Joann's at all if I can help it anymore. So I am slowly switching over just because MoveFabrics.com does not carry Coats & Clark, and therefore I've switched over to nicer thread. And we have reached the next sort of station here in my sewing room, and that is the ironing board area. So above the ironing board on the counter behind, I do have another one of those plastic rulers, as I mentioned, and a very, very cheap iron. This is like probably a, I don't know, under $20 iron from Target. It's not very special, and I could use a new one. You'll see I also have more pencils, a hem gauge sitting up there, extra bobbins for my old machines, unfortunately, and this is also randomly where my paintbrushes live in a jar here. You can see another seam ripper here in that little tray as well, the little well filler thing for the iron, and some inspiration books here stacked in the background as well. Yes, that is a toothbrush. That's for when I'm ironing velvet. If I need to like refresh the pile of the velvet, sometimes a toothbrush can help in that regard. A random tool, but sometimes a necessary one. I also seem to be keeping an extra hair tie here in that same little tray there, and an extra bobbin, so, you know, anything one may need while over at the ironing board. Might need to pull your hair up out of your way. You can also see I have a pair of knitting needles sitting in this glass container here with my paintbrushes. I do like having knitting needles nearby now over on the ironing table, as one of my commenters pointed out, one of you pointed out to me a while ago, they are good for poking out like the corners when you are turning something right side out after you've been ironing it. So instead of, I was poking my scissors into the corner and people were like, don't do that please. True. So I now use a knitting needle, so I keep some handy here. Of course, here at the pressing station, I also keep my tailor's ham here. It's just like a sawdust and stuffing stuffed pillow that you can use to iron curved seams over, and I find it quite handy. You'll see me use it all the time. And then the last sort of station here in my sewing room, where you can see some dress clips are hanging out, my microphone that I'm recording this voiceover on right now, lots of memory cards, etc., is the sort of hand sewing station where I do a lot of my hemming, for example, here at the desktop. That way I can watch something in the background or listen to music in the background while I sit in my comfy computer chair hemming things. I am unfortunately out of my favorite needles here. These are Millward's, like, English needles, and I'm all out of them. It was a vintage package of them, so if anyone knows where I can get needles, do let me know. I have a thimble here, though we know I rarely use it. Of course, lots of hooks and eyes, things like that, and also self-care items like some lotion, chapstick, a facial spray from Mario Badescu. You know, a little aromatherapy sometimes is necessary in the sewing room. And then I also like having nail files here, just because if you get a snag on your nail, you don't want to snag fabric. So I always like having nail files nearby so that I don't have any problems with my nails. If I break a nail, I can quickly file it so I don't end up snagging my project. But I keep little boxes of hooks and eyes and skirt hooks and things like that here. Anything I might need while finishing a project. I usually keep white and black thread here as well, because I'm always forgetting to bring thread over to the table to finish things. And most of the time, one of those two colors will work for whatever I'm doing. And then I have some silk pins sitting here. I do use these glass-headed finer pins sometimes, especially to sew over when I'm putting my zippers in. I know it's naughty, but it is something I do. You can also see I have another pink tomato back there. That has my hand sewing needles in it, so anything I need to do some hand sewing and finishing is going to be here at my computer desk. Lastly, I just want to talk about my dress form for a second. This is a very, abused, cheap, adjustable dress form from Joann's from ages and ages and ages ago. I wanted to talk about it because I do not use it for draping. I do not use it for fit. I use it as basically a hanger. Sometimes I will like hang a skirt on it to let the hem hang overnight or something like that, but I do not really use my dress form. This is not because I was not taught how to drape in the many fashion classes I took. I do enjoy draping. I just don't have a professional dress form, and this one is so lousy there's no use trying to drape on it. And I do actually just enjoy flat pattern drafting, and I don't think having a dress form is necessary. But I just wanted to mention it because I think people have this idea that a dress form is very necessary for sewing. And even when you're making your own patterns or drafting your own patterns, you do not have to have a dress form. In fact, you have you, and you are the best fit test for you. So if you're going to be making muslins anyway, and you should be, you really don't need a dress form, you just need yourself. Of course, I would like to eventually have a professional dress form that's perhaps, my size, even a custom one perhaps, but I just want to implore that they are not absolutely necessary. You can do flat pattern drafting. In fact, I'll teach you how. So those are the items I use to make clothes here in my sewing room. Of course, I don't use every single item for every single project, but this is the stuff that I keep around me at hand, easy to get to for making stuff here in my maker space, as it were. Hopefully this was helpful to any of you who are setting up your own sewing space or your own kind of kit of stuff that you may need for sewing. Of course, again, you don't need all of these things to start sewing, but it is helpful to have them, or at least it's helpful for me to have them. Thank you as always for watching today, and I'll be back again here with more sewing and vintage fashion for you real soon. Bye.